Tonight's special guest is Cameron Brewer. Cameron is a first-time Auckland Supercity councillor and could be described as the leader of the opposition within the new 20-member council. The Beat Goes On thought it was time for a mid-term report on the new Auckland Supercity. What have we gained and what have we lost? We welcome Cameron Brewer as our special guest on The Beat Goes On. Cameron Brewer.
Jared Smith.
Welcome to The Beat Goes On.
Great to be back.
Thank you for coming in tonight on your busy schedule. You're an Auckland councillor now.
That's right, and congratulations to you, Jared, on that golden birthday. It means what, free trips to the Waiheke?
Yes, it does. Oh, I haven't done that yet. The pension's arrived, but the gold card, I think I have to apply for that. So.
Yeah, well, you never change. Yeah. Your hair never changes.
The last time you were here, Cameron, we were talking about you becoming a councillor, and of course that's now being achieved.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have a chat about it. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations, and a big one, because first time you were in an election and you received the 5th highest vote. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great, and I'm lucky because I represent a great ward, and I have to convince them in 12 months' time, Jared, to do it all over again. Now, given that their rates are going up, it might be a hard ask.
Was it the looks or was it the charm?
Well, I think it was just the tenacity. I think they felt sorry for me. I was out on Brewer Road and Tamaki Drive most mornings waving at the traffic, and I think they just thought, give this boy a job. Second youngest councillor, the only first termer. So, you know, I certainly haven't got ahead of myself. I've got a lot to learn, and it's been a steep learning curve over the last 2 years. But thankfully, we've got, I've got some great colleagues at a political level, both left, centre, and right. We all get on pretty well.
I can see the pathway, Cameron. Councillor, Auckland councillor, mayor, Prime Minister, Governor General.
Oh dear. Well, so I think Mum's still overseas, so she won't get to see this show. So she'll be pleased about that, because she always said to me, and my parents are retirees and live in Taupo now. I grew up in rural South Taranaki, but she always said, I said, I might become a politician one day. This was about 5 years ago, and she said, oh, I couldn't bear it. Make sure I'm dead before you do that. And then when I said I'm going to stand for council, she said, you made that promise and I'm still alive. And I said, well, I've been waiting. It's not happening fast. So look, I don't know where all this is heading. At the moment, I'm just trying to represent the ratepayers of Ōrākei as best I can. It's the Ōrākei ward, which includes Remuera, Ellerslie, the Eastern Bays, right out to St Heliers, Glendowie. And I suppose for us, not including you necessarily in this, but for those of us on the centre right, that might support the Prime Minister or the National Party, or fiscal responsibility and lower rates and everything else, we've found ourselves largely in opposition. I know the Mayor doesn't want to have the in crowd and the out crowd, but in politics, and this is a big city politics, it's going to happen. And this is the biggest municipal authority in Australasia now, Jared. We represent 1.5 million people.
It is big, isn't it?
And a big part of democracy is contestability, and dissent is an important part of that. And so we're always out there representing the views of our constituents who have been hit by rate increases quite significantly in the last month or so, and who are really worried about the affordability of Auckland and the projection in debt. So those are the issues that are driving us most days, is the Mayor wants a livable city, but we really think key part of a livable city is actually to have an affordable city. So retirees, superannuitants like yourself, Jared, can actually afford to stay, so we don't lose you to Tauranga or New Plymouth or Napier, as tempting as those wonderful places sound.
The baby boomer exodus.
Exactly. We want to keep you here because you're great ratepayers, and you always pay your rates on time. So why would we lose, our great citizens that built this city and country? They deserve to be able to stay here. We don't want to rate them out of their houses. And at the moment, we've had 133,000 Auckland households that are paying the full 10% cap in rates. And it's all right for me. For example, I can afford another 10% in rates in Ellerslie where I live, but for a lot of those people on fixed incomes, that might have been burnt by the finance companies, that might not be earning the interest on their investments that they used to. 10% on their rates to stay in the old family home is hard work, and so we want to protect those people, the elderly and those on fixed and modest incomes.
The Supercity. When I first heard about it, I'm sure you did, sounded good, and we were given the concept that we were going to save a lot of money by all the doubling up, and so
I remember those promises.
First of all, was it worth it? Was it worth it?
Yeah.
When you're looking at it now, would you say you'd do it again?
Yes, I think so. I think so. The biggest advocates for the Supercity were areas like mine, were areas in the old Auckland City area on the isthmus there, who arguably are the ones that are going to be penalised the most at the moment. Yes, it was all worth it, and operationally things have gone pretty well. And we've got to take our hat off to the Chief Executive Doug Mackay, the CFO Andrew McKenzie, and others in that management team, and the whole bureaucracy. There's 6,000 or 7,000 people that work at Auckland Council now.
It's a big business.
And if you hadn't read the papers or watched The Beat Goes On, you wouldn't really know that there'd been a municipal change of this scale. An amalgamation of 8 councils into one, because your rubbish is still getting picked up, the libraries are working better than ever, and your rate bills are arriving on time too, Jared. So operationally,
that's the good point.
So the good thing is, operationally, it's gone really well, probably better than most things expected. There haven't been any disasters, but where we have concerns is around the political management and the fiscal management. And you mentioned that people were promised that it would be a way to contain costs and the likes, amalgamating 8 councils into one. And we just don't think that the Mayor, as much as we like him and love and admire his energy and his enthusiasm, and he's got a great personality and he's good to all of us at a councillor level, we just wonder whether his big visions and his big plans and aspirations for Auckland, which are all worthy and good on him for having them, but we just wonder if they're affordable at this particular time in the economic cycle. He's arguably just trying to do too much too soon and going too fast, and that's going to add to our debt and add to the rates. The Mayor's got a big mandate. He won the election a couple of years ago quite resoundingly, and largely off the back of his promises around public transport. So no one begrudges of him leading the charge on better public transport, and most Aucklanders would say, yes, let's do better than what we have done historically. One concern that we have, one real concern that's growing, not abating, and that is the city rail link, Jared. And I don't know if you'll be able to get on that for free with your gold card. At this stage, it's going to cost the taxpayer and the ratepayer about $28 for every dollar that you pay. It's a very expensive project. And give me 30 seconds, I'll take you through it. It's about tunnelling from Britomart, under Albert Street, under Pitt Street, under Karangahape Road, under Spaghetti Junction, under Simon Street, and coming up at Eden Terrace there, foot of Mount Eden, about the Horse and Trap, around there. It's a 3-kilometre tunnelling project, and it's projected to cost $3 billion. And so that is $1 million a metre. That is $10 million a metre. That is $10,000 a centimetre, and that is $1,000 a millimetre. Yeah. And some of us are thinking, hang on, there's a lot of millimetres between Britomart on the waterfront at the bottom of Queen Street to Mount Eden. And is this going to be affordable? And should we continue with this project, given the government, John Key and Stephen Joyce and Jerry Brownlee, have not committed themselves to it? The Mayor wants them to commit 50%, or about $1.5 billion, and they're not committed at this stage. Nonetheless, he's charging on and spending hundreds of millions over the next few years in land acquisitions, in property purchases, in designation work to protect the route. And some of us think, why would you be spending $110 million on capital money as he is this year to do all that, and $460 million in the next 3 years alone without any government commitment? But
we go all over the country, Cameron, and a lot of people in Masterton, New Plymouth, hearing us talking about Auckland, they may be getting a bit uneasy about it. What would you like to say to the people of New Zealand about coming and living in this wonderful city called Auckland?
Well,
do an advertisement for Auckland.
And all my relations in Taranaki that say you've changed with your flash glasses and your buffy hair and all that from the days of growing up in Hawera. All I would say is that I know better than anyone what a lot of the rest of the country think of Auckland because I've spent most of my life down the line. Yeah. But what we're trying to do in Auckland is important for the rest of the country because we're 35% of the country and about as much of the GDP, and we actually need to lift our contribution, and so that grows a better and bigger economy for everyone else. We are largely a service sector city, and we can't underestimate that the biggest show in town are the farmers of New Zealand still. Yes. The exporters.
They are, aren't they?
The dairy farmers. And so let's not lose sight. New Zealand's not, Auckland's not the backbone of New Zealand as such, but we're a bigger and bigger part of the economy, and we need to even do better.
Now, Cameron, we're running out of time, but I do want to know, when you wake up in the morning, do you look forward to going into the Auckland City and fighting it out with the other councillors? I mean, it's a good job, yeah. Oh,
it's, as I said, I've got some great colleagues across the political spectrum. We all get on pretty well, and they've been good to me as a first termer. Right. Those of us on the centre-right side probably need a few more colleagues. At the moment, on a good day, we've got 8 out of 21, and so the next year's election, the challenge will be to try and get the majority.
Midterm. This was a midterm report. It's about another year away from the elections, wouldn't it? But 14 months. So 8 out of 10.
Oh, out of 10, what the management have done and what the staff have done, and operationally, I think it's 7 or 8 out of 10. I think it's gone pretty well. If you look at the politics and the rates and the debt, I probably wouldn't give that a pass mark, but that's probably
4.75.
Yeah, 4.99.
Now, before we go, Cameron, the big question: if you were approached by a group of concerned citizens of Auckland who wanted a new mayor, would you put your hand up or would you walk away?
Well, I think mayors should be about your age, Jared. Sir W. Robinson, and there's that brilliant book out by John Edgar.
The Urban Legend.
The Urban Legend, you're onto it. From 1959 to 1980, excluding 65 to 68, I think. So he had 18 years, Sir W. Robinson. And he left the mayoralty, well, he was replaced, at the tender age of 79. Well, look, at this stage, I certainly won't be putting my hand up for the mayoralty. But in saying that, I want to be in a position where I can support a mayoral candidate down the track, a really good, high-quality mayoral candidate, to take on Len. The country, the city deserves a contest, a good contest. And some of us would like to get behind a good quality man or woman candidate. I reckon probably a 50-year-old or around that with good chief executive business experience, good leadership skills, and that would make a good context.
And they must watch The Beat Goes On.
And they must watch The Beat Goes On. And you promised me that if we find one of these candidates, you'll give them a free slot.
Cameron Brewer, always
a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
We'll see you on that Waiheke ferry.
Thanks, Cameron.
Thank you.
We'll join you after the break.